my blackness, giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. We rise like unapologetic, yeah, we're the chosen. From the streets to the stage, the power's awoken. Black magic in our veins. Feel the motion, warriors of change. Pushing through every notion. No chains can hold us, we break through like oceans. Educate, elevate, that's our devotion.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
I'm unapologetically black for all rhymes and reason. I give no apologies for my blackness, giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. Still pushing through the struggle, can't keep us down. Voices loud from the underground to every town. Shades of excellence, ain't no hiding, won't back down. From the roots to the U.S. in the city's crown. Stay shining bright despite the hate they lay. Our culture's fire burns strong night and day. Black forever, the spirit won't decay. Raise the banner high, cause we here to stay. Sally, stay shine, but go in a level I dodge, so I cry, Sally. Angel, you command, your thoughts are demands, and it's turn on Sally. I'm unapologetically black for all rhymes and reason. I give no apologies for my blackness, giving rhyme or reasons. Black all the time, no matter the time of season. We spice up everything and add our flavor, we the seasoning. Hated by many, but admired by most. We the baddest from the U.S. to the Ivory Coast. We don't have to exert our power, we just simply coast. We've been put down, let down, and hung out to dry. But through all of it, we still keep our heads to the sky. Black forever, forever. I'm unapologetically black. We rise like unapologetic, yeah, we're the chosen. From the streets to the stage, the power's awoken. Black magic in our veins. Feel the motion, warriors of change. Pushing through every notion.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all. And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm black, y'all. And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black. I'm blacker than black.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, I know y'all thought I wasn't going to be here, but here I am. All right. So let's get ready to get into it. Okay. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur. Also, you can follow me on X at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, exit stage left, and don't let the virtual doorknob hit you on your way out. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, we got Kenan in here. All right, Deronda, Sandra, Pearlie is here. Chris B is in the house. All right, let's get into it. Desmond D. Major is here. Queen Shay. All right. Mama Jocelyn is here. All right, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I see you above all that drama. So let's get this party started, honey. Let's get it started. All right, hello, DSB. Shout out to DSB for getting us started with a super chat donation. All right, saying the Queen has returned. Okay, I appreciate you, beloved. Thank you so much for your kind donation. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, listen. That last live we had when y'all were going in on that dude, do y'all know I laughed literally all night? Okay, I literally laughed all night about that. That was hilarious. Okay, so anyway, thank y'all for having the Queens back and going in. All right. And so anyway, with that all being said, let's talk about it, because you all know that I reported to you a few days ago that Trump had mistakenly sent somebody back. And then Fox News comes out and tries to paint this narrative like the man was in a gang previously and the man's just not supposed to be here in the first place, and saying all these things to try to justify Trump's effery. Okay? But guess what? Trump turns around and does it again. And this time, it's even worse. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes, because y'all know the queen has to keep the lights on. Please pay attention.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because Trump, he's just making so many F-ups. And it's interesting because he's always trying to talk about these DEI hires and acting as though they're incompetent. But he's proven daily that he is incompetent, that his team is incompetent. Okay, none of it makes any sense. So let's talk about what's happened now. Let me pull up my receipts. And also, please be sure you double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you haven't been receiving your donations. I mean, not your donations, your notifications, okay? Now, let's talk about it because Australian MMA coach detained in U.S. prison nightmare amid Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Okay, this is all so crazy. So let's get into it. So an Australian MMA great, I mean, this man's a whole legend in his country. Now, he was allegedly detained in a federal prison after he had been traveling to the United States to do a seminar. Okay, this man's coming here to conduct a seminar, to talk to people and to train them and to give them insight into MMA, okay, MMA wrestling. So Renato Sabatic's trip to the U.S. went horribly wrong after immigration officials stopped him from entering the country. But that's not just the worst of it. In a post on social media, Sabatic, who has coached the Australian national MMA side, said that he had been locked in an isolation room for 3 hours before he was taken to prison. Now, the issue arose supposedly due to an alleged visa issue, is what they say. So he says, I arrived in America excited, ready to coach my seminar. It was supposed to be a great trip. Okay, instead, I got stopped at the border. Immigration pulled me aside and took me into an isolated room. The officer interviewing me looked like he was looking for something wrong. It was obvious why I was in the U.S. I gave them every specific detail about my seminar, my plans, and everything. It's also nefarious. Okay. This is also nefarious. So let me go to a picture real quick. Locking up a whole MMA legend. Yeah, I find it all interesting. This man's a whole celebrity in his country. Okay. All right. See what we're talking about here? Is Trump DEI? Okay. I have several questions. So anyway, went from that to this. Look at this. This is also sad, nefarious. Okay. Just imagine if this were you, is all I'm saying. And wait till you hear further of the nefarious details, because this don't even make any sense. Trump should be so ashamed of himself. I know he has to feel like an idiot. Well, you know, that's what he is. Okay, so they kept me in that room for 3 hours asking endless questions. I was collaborative. Sabatic recounted how the immigration officers had told him there was an error in the documentation and that he'd be going to jail until they had ascertained where he would go after that. No clear explanation, no chance to talk to anyone, no rights. They handcuffed me, put me in a car, and drove me to federal prison. Now, just think about this, okay? Now, it comes as new U.S. President Donald Trump is cracking down on immigration rules. The Trump administration has revoked the temporary legal status of more than 500,000 Cuban, Haitian, and Venezuelan nationals. Sabat recounts how the officers had stripped him of all of his belongings before escorting him into the prison with just a blanket and a sheet. The moment the door opened, it was total chaos, he said. It's a darn shame. There's fights between gangs, people screaming, arguing over food, what to watch on TV, crazy people running all around, complete madness. Sabatic recounted how he allegedly got into a fight, with another individual who had allegedly tried to steal his stuff. When the guards rushed up, no one said anything. The guard looked at me and said, "You got a good welcome. Keep your head straight or you're going to stay here longer." Sabatic revealed that he stayed in prison for multiple days, being taken back to the airport. Before being taken back to the airport. At the airport, they took me in a room without telling me when I'd fly. Eventually, I got the information. I was being deported. This is also crazy. Can you imagine being deported when you simply came for a trip? Make it all make sense. This is all crazy. Now, I'm going to show you his social media post. Hold on. Oh, so this is all real crazy. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay. I mean, this is absolutely horrific. Mama Justice said, "Queen, it doesn't even matter. Republicans will never hold him accountable, and MAGA stay justifying the behavior they wouldn't accept from Democrats." Well, of course they do. I'm so glad you said it because they absolutely do. Okay. This is what they do. So anyway, Truth Brown said, "This is crazy for real." Yeah, it absolutely is. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, please pay attention. Ma'at Egypt said, "This situation is diabolical." Okay. He doesn't have any empathy and feels no shame. You're right. Okay, so anyway. Keenan says, "It's her fault, not mine. We can talk back to these women. Trump is the president. It's legal for us to be men." Keenan Jefferson, what are you talking about? Thank you, DSB. DSB just gifted the membership to the channel. You all be sure to shout him out. Thank you for your kind generosity, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. Keenan Jefferson says, "Blacks on YouTube beef. Blacks with Tesla getting paid." Okay, well, that's good to know. And yeah, blacks on YouTube do beef. I think I've talked about that before. Okay, but it looks like you're trolling, so I'm going to ban you. How about that? Okay, so now with that all being said, I don't have time for distractions and fools in the chat. Okay, telling us the obvious. Okay, what does blacks on YouTube beefing have to do with people at Tesla? Okay, I'm just saying, if you love Trump, that's okay, but don't come in here trying to antagonize the rest of us. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about it because Trump has done this before, as I told you all. Okay, as I told you all. Now you see how they say they took him there and then no matter what plans he told them about, they just didn't care. Okay, they just didn't care about the man's plans. They didn't care about anything. Right, and then had the nerve to tell him that he could be there even longer, which I find absolutely egregious. And basically, like I said, the other man who'd been in this country for all that time, he'd been in the country for all that time, and what did they do? They deported him, and now they're acting like he's just, had no business being here in the first place, even though he was given asylum. Okay? There's no denying it. Now, let's go to what he said. Okay, I've already read some of this. But here's the thing. Here's the part I want you to pay attention to. "The guard told me to hurry up so I could get some food. I dropped my stuff and went downstairs. While I was in line, 4 guys started beating the hell out of another guy, smashing his head into the fence. I wasn't even hungry." I mean, who would be hungry after watching this? Okay, and not knowing if they're going to try you next, okay? Not knowing how long you're going to be there or what else is going to happen. "I just grabbed an apple, ate it, and walked straight back to my cell. When I got back, 2 Mexican guys were in there stealing my blanket and sheet. I said, 'Hey, bro, what are you doing?' One of them yelled. One of them replied, 'Getting my stuff.' I said, 'That's my stuff.' And he looked at me and said, 'What are you going to do about it?' We had a fight. I got my stuff back. The other one ran out of the cell screaming. The people in the nearby cells came to watch what was going on. When the guards rushed up, no one said anything. The guard looked at me and said, "You got a good welcome. Keep your head on straight, or you're going to be here longer." Isn't that something? I mean, this is all so ghetto at the end of the day. I mean, I can't even imagine it. Okay. I absolutely not. And so all the poor man had to eat was the apple. And not to mention, he said when he walked into the room, there was a dirty mattress on the floor with urine and blood and all kind of disgusting bodily fluids on it, clearly. Okay, and all he had was a blanket and a sheet. And then somebody's going to try to snatch it and expect him to sleep on that dirty arse mattress. All right, thanks to Trump. That's how it went down. Serena says, "I keep losing my membership. 1 minute I'm subscribed and the next time not." Honey, that's screw too. Okay, you need to complain to them. All right, there is a way for you all to complain to ScrewTube. All right, and when you're paying for stuff, they're not supposed to be unsubscribing you. They're full of ish. All right, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. Like I said, I'm going to have to, I'll get you the information. A matter of fact, I'm going to do that tonight. I'll get the information for anybody that has complaints. If you've been unsubscribed or whatever, they're messing with your membership or whatever. And it's a darn shame you have to go through all of this, but this is what it is until I take them back to court. Okay, so I'm going to get you all the information so you know what you need to do. All right, you could just send them like an email or whatever. Now, with that all being said, let me go to this other story where the man who was mistakenly deported and how Fox News, like I said, they're trying to act like he had no business being here in the first place. Trump administration suspends lawyer in case of Maryland man mistakenly deported for failing to zealously advocate. Had protections from deportation is a member of MS-13. Now, if he was actually a member of MS-13, how would he, have asylum here? Okay, please pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen so you all can hear this. Now, mind you, like I said, this is Fox News, and we know how they love to paint narratives and just try to make it look like nothing that Trump does is ever wrong. Hold on. Let me start this again. Here we go. Okay, here we go, beloveds. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Arrested in the company of other ranking gang members. It was confirmed. The judge found as follows. The DHS asserted that the respondent is a verified gang member. The respondent was arrested in the company of other ranking gang members and was confirmed to be a ranking member of the MS-13 gang by a proven and reliable source. Garcia had his due process, and whether or not you can be even convicted as a gang member, it was alleged that he...
Hold on, I hear something else playing. Do you all hear that? Let me figure out where that other audio is coming from. Hold on. What the hell's going on here? Okay, I see what's going on. All right. I'm like, I hear another audio playing. Okay, so here we go. Let's try it again.
Was, in fact, a gang member. But from that point forward, a good 7 years after arriving in the United States illegally, Garcia claimed asylum. He said that if he was returned to El Salvador, he would be tortured, that rival gangs would, and they had in the past, punished his family for their pupusa stand somewhere in El Salvador. The judge bought this and gave him temporary protected status. Now, it's up to you and me, and I don't understand how temporary protected status lasts for something like 6 years in the United States, but it can roll at 6, 12, and 18-month cycles. Apparently, temporary includes the last 6 years of life here in the United States for Garcia. But long and short, he was recently, in 2025, sent back to El Salvador. Now, the Trump administration is admitting it was an administrative error to violate that temporary protected status. Whether or not he was an illegal immigrant, whether or not he was a gang member, he had this status in the United States. And J.D. Vance has boiled all this down, in the end, to the following facts. The man is an illegal immigrant with no right in our country. An immigrant judge determined he was a member of MS-13. And because he's not a citizen, he does not get a full jury trial by peers. In other words, whatever due process he was entitled to, he has already received. Let's return now to the framing of the Maryland father. It has to have hit your radar today. You have to have come across this frame. And ask yourself about the passion. Ask yourself about the quantity of coverage of this Maryland father. Was there similar coverage? Was there similar passion for the murder of Jocelyn Nungare? Was there similar passion, similar quantity of coverage for the murder of Laken Riley?
Now, I want you all to pay attention because he's bringing up these murders that happened to these Caucasian people. And the thing is, yeah, that was sad and everything. And of course, those were committed by immigrants. But that man is not the one who did it. What does he have to do with that? Nothing is what he has to do with it. Okay, so they're trying to use this straw argument basically to paint a narrative, okay, and to justify Trump's efforts. That's what they're doing.
It tells you something about the sincerity of the protest today. Is it truly about due process? Are they truly concerned about their frame of the Maryland father? Or are they looking to undermine the President of the United States? They're calling for justice. But is it justice to return an illegal immigrant to this country? What's the goal in the end? Because it's hard to discern that there's anything other than, through false framing and calls to return to the United States, absolute injustice. Here is Congressman Jamie Raskin asking for that exact injustice.
I call on my colleagues right now to call off the campaign to impeach federal judges for doing their jobs. I call on them to demand that the Trump administration comply with all judicial orders while appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers.
Would it be justice or injustice to return an alleged gang member, a certified illegal immigrant, back to the United States from El Salvador? Joining me now to answer that question is Maryland Democrat Congressman Glenn Ivey. Congressman, thanks for being with me today. Do you agree with your colleague, Congressman Raskin, that those individuals should be returned to the United States?
Well, I think certainly this one should. He was taken illegally. Yeah, I appreciate your lead in on this, but, you know, certainly it was an ongoing case. There was a judge who was handling this matter, as you pointed out, from 2019, and the matter was ongoing. He was picked up in 2025 and taken out of the country without that judge having a chance to hear why he was being taken or whether he'd violated any of the conditions of his release, or he wasn't even seen by another judge. And now that he's gone and he's in El Salvador, the government has the temerity to argue that we can't make a decision about whether he should come back because he's out of our jurisdiction. He's in El Salvador. So it's kind of like the orphan complaining that he's had a troubled childhood because he killed his own parents. I mean, bring him back, give him the chance to have the hearing he should have had before he was sent over there, because that is what American law requires. And if he should go over,
Ivey,
then deport him. But if not, he should stay here.
If I might, I'm curious about your perspective on this. There is a court that has determined he was an illegal immigrant. They did, in fact, grant him temporary protective order because of his claims of asylum in El Salvador. And the Trump administration has admitted that it was an administrative error to deport him back to El Salvador. Right. But we're trying to, together, you and I, determine what is true justice here. And I'm curious, if he had been deported in this past week, not to El Salvador, but to Honduras, would that have been a problem for you? That wouldn't have been a violation of that court order. That court order specifically was about El Salvador. So I'm curious, if he had been deported to Honduras or Nicaragua, would you today hold the same opinion you hold about him being deported to El Salvador?
Well, I don't know about the TPS issue with respect to Honduras or Nicaragua. I think the deportation issue overall, though, appears to have been in violation of what the original judge said should happen. In fact,
I believe that's because the order said specifically he couldn't. I think that's specifically because he had an asylum claim from El Salvador and he couldn't be deported to El Salvador. The reason I ask you, Congressman, about Nicaragua or Honduras is whether or not what you're really doing is looking for justice according to the law. And I respect if that's what you're talking about. If you've truly been a congressman who's been faithful to the concept of due process throughout the Biden administration and whoever is president, then I respect that. I respect that. But if you think justice is passionately arguing for this man's return to the United States, and I didn't see that same passion. I know you didn't go to the joint session of Congress, but your colleagues didn't stand up when the president honored Jocelyn Nungaray. So I see a disconnect on this passion. Passion for an illegal immigrant. Yes, an illegal immigrant deported. No sense of quantity of passion for the victims of illegal immigrants here in the United States.
How about this? The law is supposed to be dispassionate. That's why we have independent judges make these decisions based on the evidence and the law that's presented to them. That was circumvented in this case. So, I mean, I guess we can go through hypotheticals about what if he'd been sent here or there. But as you said, the government admitted they did it incorrectly. So just bring him back. And they can bring him back.
Well, I'm not sure. Just because it was executed incorrectly, I don't think just because it was executed incorrectly, the logical conclusion is to bring him back to the United States.
Shut your ass up, okay? I can't with him, okay? I cannot with him. And then somebody said if he killed his parents, leave him there. He didn't kill his parents. The fool on Fox News was given a hypothetical scenario saying that if that had been the case, okay? That's not the case. This man fled because he was in danger, all right? That's what that was. And at the end of the day, some of y'all are saying, oh, you don't care about the immigrants. Well, you know, okay, I get you. But at the end of the day, that man was already here, and he was here because a judge said that he could be here. And this fool on Fox News is trying to overtalk this black man and trying to refute everything that he's saying about it when the black man's absolutely right. At the end of the day, they made a mistake. Own it. Take accountability. That's what's wrong with so many of these political parties or these politicians, okay, in these two parties. They don't want to take accountability. The people that are for them don't want to make them take accountability, don't want to hold them accountable. Okay? That's crazy to me. Now, he's sitting here trying to paint these narratives, like I said, just so that it doesn't look like Trump effed up. But we know that he effed up. The government already has admitted that the man wasn't supposed to be sent there. And now they're saying they can't bring him back. It's out of their jurisdiction. What do you mean? Okay? What do they mean? This is all crazy. And shout out to Desmond, my moderator, for gifting the channel 5 memberships. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, this is all crazy. They cannot make it make sense, though they try. The end of the day. And even if you like the Republicans or you like what Trump is doing, at the end of the day, you need to still hold them accountable. Some people just don't want to do that. And it's crazy to me. But anyway, I heard enough of him, honey, because he was getting on my nerves. Okay, so with that all being said, let's talk about the Frisco stabbing at the track meet, where the black teenager has, admitted that he took the life of the Caucasian teen. But the part they're not talking about in the news is that the black teenager was supposedly bullied by not just the young man whose life was lost, but by him and his brother, because he had a twin. That's the story they're not telling you. Okay, that's the story they're not telling you. And the young man had a knife on him because likely he was afraid, because this had been ongoing bullying by both of these two little thugs. One of them is gone. Okay, at the end of the day, and it's sad that he lost his life, but sometimes you put yourself in a predicament to something like this ends up happening. Okay, and this is the parents' fault, because parents should be talking to their kids about not being bullies. That's what you should be talking to your kids about not being bullies. And some of these parents want to play dumb and act like they don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, you know if you got a bully for a kid or not. You know this. Okay? Miss me with it. Parents know when their kids are bullies. Now, let's talk about this report from Fox News, because here's what they said. Frisco track meet stabbing. Suspect says, I did it. Yeah, of course, that's what they're going to report on Fox News, because they love to paint narratives. They love to paint narratives. Yes, he did say that he did it, but he also said that it was in self-defense, okay? They painted him like a whole thug. You should see the comments from the people who don't look like us on X, okay, Instagram and what have you. I've seen it all. When I first heard the story, that's all I had to go on is what everybody was saying in the media, okay? And then what people were saying on social media. And I'm like, okay, so is this kid a thug? Like, who is this kid? Like, why would he do something like this? What really happened? So I waited for more information and details to come out before I bothered to report on it. And luckily I did so, because I was feeling all empathetic for the person who's deceased until I found out what really happened. I mean, I still feel sorry that he lost his life, but at the end of the day, he made dumb choices. Okay, he made bad decisions.
A student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
I think he was extremely smart, always in the box. He just came to him real easy, and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forgive and forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well.
This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. And if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just hug your babies tight, because you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
And in a statement released by the Metcalf family this afternoon, they say their focus is now on laying Austin to rest. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail with a $1 million bond. Back to you.
All right, Alex Boyer in Dallas tonight. Alex, thank you.
A $1 million bond, okay? And it was a very sad story how they said that he died in his brother's arms. I can imagine that had to be very sad and traumatizing for his brother. But at the end of the day, he and his brother are allegedly bullies. So let's talk about it, because here's what has now come to the surface. And this ain't what they're talking about in the media, specifically on Fox News. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, so this was reported by Kevin Hayes, who I do believe is a family member of the young man who stands accused, and they gave him $1 million bond. Okay, knowing that, the family's not going to be able to afford that. Okay, so he says the truth about Carmelo. Let's set the record straight. Enough with the misinformation. Let's talk about facts. It's normal for students from different schools to gather under another school's tent. Carmelo had friends there. He wasn't trespassing or looking for trouble. The claim that one of the twins has never seen Carmelo before, a blatant lie. No student has the right to remove another student from a school-owned tent. The school owns the tent, not the twins. And I want you all to pay attention, because the mother said, "Oh, my son was always trying to do the right thing." No, he wasn't. That wasn't his business, because he wasn't even on the track team. So why the hell was he under the tent? Okay, Carmelo is a track athlete. The twins are not. He wasn't even expected to see them there. Now, here's what they don't want you to know. And I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, narratives are being painted and pushed. Okay, now here's what they don't want you to know. The twins didn't just ask him to leave. Okay, because that's what they said. He asked him to leave, and then Carmelo says, oh, touch me and see what happens. Now, that sounds like Carmelo's already ready to get aggressive, but that's not what really happened, according to this person right here. He says the twins didn't just ask him to leave. They tried to jump him. Before attacking him, they tried to take his belongings, broke his phone, and stomped on it. The twins are known bullies. So ask yourself, if two 200-pound attackers came to your child, what would you expect them to do? And yet, despite everything, the media is trying to destroy Carmelo's name. They keep posting a picture of him with an airsoft gun, not even a real firearm, to manipulate public perception, trying to make him look like a thug. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because isn't this the same thing they did to those two black girls that were like 18 years old? One of them was 18. I forget the other ones. I think they might have been twins. But remember a few years ago, about 5 years or so ago, when the twins were, those two black girls were on the subway and the racist devil slashed the throat of one of them and she died. And they kept posting a picture of her holding what looked to be a gun. Come to find out it was her cell phone case. All right, this is what they do. They demonize black victims. All right, that's what they do. Whether you're the victim who had to take out somebody to preserve yourself, or you're the victim that was taken out by somebody who just doesn't like people who look like you, or for whatever other nefarious reason that they come up with. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, so let's talk about who Carmelo really is. And here's the thing. He says because they want to paint him as a criminal instead of a victim. Now, let's talk about who Carmelo really is. A respectful, well-mannered young man, a 4.0 student with multiple college offers, a kid with zero criminal history, not even a blemish, a son raised in a loving home by parents who taught him right from wrong. A life was lost, and that is tragic. But what's also tragic is the way the media is twisting this story to fit their own agenda. And that's exactly what they're doing, in my opinion. I believe every word that he said because we have seen this all before. This is the same soup twice warmed over. If you remember the story from last year about Kylie Gaines. Remember Kylie Gaines? She was a bully, okay? And then she got into a fight. Hold on, let me just pull it up for those of you who don't remember. Now, this girl was bullying a black teenager, and she was a known bully at her school. Then she gets into a fight with this teenager one day and loses the fight, and she suffers severe damages.
Teens fighting in Hazelwood went viral. The video shows a girl slam another girl's head into the ground over and over again. That happened Friday. Today, we learned the girl critically injured in that fight near Hazelwood East is 16-year-old Kaylee Gain. Justina Cornell joins us now in studio with more information from Kaylee's family. Justina.
Mike, I spoke with her grandpa earlier today on the phone. He tells me his 16-year-old granddaughter needs support. There are 2 online fundraisers up and running right now, and they have already raised more than $100,000.
Why is there someone recording a fight like this and not calling for help?
Dr. Leslie Davis watched video of the horrific fight as a 15-year-old slammed 16-year-old Kaylee Gaines' head into the ground several times near Hazelwood East High School last week.
Just seeing her laying on the ground helpless and how there was an outbreak of other fights around her and she's just laying there. It seemed like she was very, very hurt physically, but no one was coming to help her. No one checked on her. 2 online fundraisers are supporting Kaylee Gain. The GoFundMe say the teen fractured her skull and has frontal lobe damage. She also has brain bleeding and swelling, and the family won't know the extent of the brain damage until she wakes up. My advice to parents is to encourage your youth to speak up.
Dr. Davis works with teens to prevent violence. She believes social media and the pandemic could.
Okay. So we remember that story, right? And you know what happened with that story? Now, I've looked for some updates, haven't seen any yet, except from the ones from last year. But the father of the victim, or I'm not even going to call her the victim, the father of the bully, because that's what she is. Now, he came out and talked about some text messages that were exchanged before the fight. And then he says it shouldn't matter who said what. His daughter is suffering. Well, you know, it's sad that she's suffering. But this is why you should teach your children not to be bullies, because everybody is not going to put up with it. At some point, some people are going to get fed up. You see, this is why we have some of these school shooters, like Eric, what are the guy's name from Columbine? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Okay, Dylan and Eric. Now, they were supposedly bullied, and they got fed up. They came to school and lit it up, okay? These kind of things can happen, and tragic though they may be, at the end of the day, maybe they could have been prevented had someone done something about the bullying, okay, at the end of the day. And some of these parents don't give a damn if their students or their kids are bullies because they're bullies themselves, okay? Some of the parents are bullies themselves. And let me tell you something. This incident right here with this young man, Carmelo Anthony, this reminds me, this hits very close to home for me because I already told you all before. About the time when Reno was like maybe 12 years old. He was like 12 or 13 years old. And there was 2 white boys who were twins in our neighborhood. And they got mad. They got mad because their mom and dad didn't have money for the rent. Okay? They lived down the street from us. They didn't have money for the rent, so they were having a garage sale that day. Well, that same day, Reno and his friend Damone decided they wanted to sell lemonade. So I put out a lemonade stand for them and made the lemonade and all of that. And they were outside selling their lemonade, and they were doing okay. So next thing I know, my neighbor Mallory, who's white, she comes knocking on my door, and she says that Reno and Damone just got into a fight, or Reno got into the fight because Damone was crying and calling his mama as big as he is. He's like a big husky kid, but nonetheless, he was not a fighter, and he was calling for his mother. Okay, but Mallory said she went out there because she heard the commotion. I didn't hear it because I was asleep. She said she went out there and the twins were both fighting Reno, and Reno was slinging them left and right. Now, at the end of the day, the whole thing started because of the lemonade stand, because they had walked up there. Their mother obviously had told them to go up there and tell Reno and Damone they can't be selling lemonade today because we're having a garage sale on the same block in the same subdivision, and we're trying to make our money. Okay. And so they came up there and told them that. My mom said, you can't sell your lemonade today, da, da, da. Reno said, your mama don't tell us what to do. And so then one of them hit Reno, and then that's where the fight started. And as soon as Reno was whipping his behind, the other brother jumped in, which is to be expected because that's what twins do. That's what siblings do. But nonetheless, doesn't justify it. So they both were fighting Reno. Like I said, Damone's calling for his mother. That's how Mallory heard the commotion, because she heard Damone screaming, mama, mama. And she came out there, so she broke it up. Okay. Now, with that all being said, I want you to pay attention, because what I just said was that Mallory is my Caucasian neighbor. Okay. The boys who jumped Reno were Caucasian. She didn't take their side. Okay. She didn't take their side. She broke up the fight, came and told me what happened. And she said she was going to make them some more lemonade if they wanted to still sell the lemonade or whatever. And I said, that's all fine, but I'm going to first go down the street to talk to these twins' parents. So I went down the street. And I didn't go in their yard. I'm standing on the sidewalk in front of their yard. And I'm telling the mother, I said, who do you think you are sending your sons up there to start messing with my son and his friend and telling them what they can and can't do? And then you told them to knock over the lemonade stand, because that's what they did. That's really how the fight started. They knocked over the lemonade stand, and then one of them punched Reno, swung at him or whatever. So anyway, long story short, she was like, yeah, I told him to knock it over. I said, okay, Reno, go knock over her stuff. Yeah, her and her husband or boyfriend, whoever, they're sitting right there in lawn chairs, and they got all these little whatnots and knickknacks made out of glass and crystal that they're selling, trying to make money. And I told Reno, go knock it over. And he did just that. She's like, I'm calling the police. I said, good, because I already called them. Okay. So the police came. It was 2 different police in 2 different cars. One went to her house, one came to mine. And I told them what happened. And I told them, yes, I walked him down there. And she admitted that she told them to knock over the lemonade stand. So I told my son to knock over her stuff. And he did. And so the officer told me, and these were white officers, and we were in racist Henry County. And the officer said, well, it sounds like it's mutual combat to me. So we'll just take the report and that's it. So that's all it was. And they left. Now it could have gone different, but at the end of the day, see, sometimes the way they paint stuff in the media is always going to be, you know, for them to make us look bad, like we're the aggressors, because they don't really feel like Black people have a right to defend ourselves against them. That's just how they feel. That lady felt like it was perfectly fine to tell her sons to come up there and start mess with Reno and Damone and knock over their lemonade stand. But when I come down there and tell Reno to do the same to her, now she wants to call the police. Go ahead, because I already called them before I headed down here. Okay, so you can miss me with it, but I just want you all to pay attention. At the end of the day, parents need to talk to their kids about being bullies, because one thing is this: I always raise my boys to fight back, not to start a fight. But if someone puts their hands on you, you better finish it. Okay, that's what I taught them at the end of the day, because nobody's going to be bullying you, period. So that's how that went. And those same two boys that jumped Reno, they were bullies. And Damone was afraid of them and calling for his mama because they had jumped him before. Okay? I found that out that day when his mother came to pick him up from my house. They had jumped him before, and he was scared of them. But Reno wasn't. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, see, Carmelo Anthony, in my opinion, of what his relative says, or the person who's supposed to witness that gave the new details, if what he says is true, then Carmelo likely had that knife on him because he might have been afraid that he was going to run into them, even though he wasn't really expecting to see them. Okay, but at the end of the day, that's the school that they went to. So he probably didn't know. And see, that's what happens when you have children that are not fighters, children who are not used to having to defend and protect themselves. They may go to the extreme out of fear. You understand? And that's what bullies need to know. So I would advise anyone who has children that you even think are being bullies, it would behoove you to sit them down somewhere and talk to them, because they might run up on the wrong one who's not just going to fight them, but who may be afraid and then do something else that's even worse. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And then, then the parents want to come out and paint them as the victims. Well, I guess the parents, of course, they're victims to them. But as the parents, did you know that your kids were bullying? Did you know that they were out here bullying people? 9 times out of 10, they do, because sometimes when they're having these incidents in school where they're doing the bullying, the school will contact the parents sometimes. Sometimes other parents will contact the parents. Like I went down to that lady's house. Sometimes parents will let them know. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, sometimes you got nobody to blame but yourself as a parent, because you didn't do your due diligence and then check your child in the first place. And now somebody has sent them to an early grade. And it's all sad. It's 2 lives ruined. The young man is dead. Condolences to his family, by the way, because even though he was a bully, teenagers do dumb stuff all the time. They get into fights. They want to harass and bully people. They want to show off in front of their friends. Their frontal lobes are not fully developed. Okay. So condolences to his family. He's deceased, and that is very sad. I hate it for them. But at the end of the day, Carmelo's life is also in shambles, because now he had college offers, 4.0 student. Now he's sitting in somebody's jail and has $1 million bond. Can his family afford that? Of course they can't. Okay. At the end of the day, he has a GoFundMe, and his GoFundMe has raised about $30,000, whilst I'm not going to say the victim, the bully, the alleged bully, his GoFundMe is over $200,000. Okay, and that's the same thing within the case of Kylie Gaines. Now, when she was being a whole bully, and then other people came out and said she was being a bully, other students and all of that. But when she got injured, they raised all this money for her. But then when the person, the girl who had to defend herself against her, well, she had a GoFundMe up, and it got to like $3,000, and then GoFundMe took it down. Okay, because they said that was in violation of the rules or whatever, the policies or whatever. If you're accused of something like that, I guess you can't have a GoFundMe. You can't raise money. So they took that down. Okay, and at the end of the day, her life is disrupted as well. My thing is, Kaylee's parents knew she was a bully. They knew it. They said it. They admitted it. They said she'd had problems before. So they knew she was a bully, and they didn't do or say anything to stop her. But at the end of the day, now they want to sit there and act like she's the complete victim, and she's not. Okay, sad though it may be, she's not. And that's just the truth of the matter. But here's another story that happened also last year. Now, this is where a teenager was being bullied, and she ended up losing her life. She was the one being bullied. And you see, maybe that's what Carmelo was afraid of. Okay.
Worth it?
Mother is demanding accountability after she says her daughter was killed after she was bullied at school. Law enforcement say she died after falling downstairs.
Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz live now in South Los Angeles after speaking with that girl's mother. Annabelle?
Hi, Mark and Giovanna. Maria Juarez says her daughter had attended Manual Arts High School here in South Los Angeles for 8 months and had experienced bullying during that time period. And she says she reported that to school officials. Maria Juarez says her daughter dreamt of becoming a nurse. She wanted to ease the physical and financial burden off her mother, who works as a hotel housekeeper.
Muy obediente, muy buena hija. Muy buena hermana.
Very obedient, a very good daughter, a very good sister, says Juarez, a single mother of 2. 16-year-old Shaylee Mejia died nearly 1 week ago. According to Juarez, she was rushed to a hospital after fainting at a gathering with friends. Juarez says when she arrived to the hospital, Mejia was unconscious.
Solo exijo es justicia.
She's calling for justice. She and her attorney believe Mejia's death is the result of a head injury inflicted by another student. They say it happened 5 days before she fainted.
Porque cuando yo llegué al hospital me dijeron que ella tenía
She says when she arrived to the hospital, she was told her daughter had multiple brain injuries. They provided videos of 2 physical altercations, saying one is from December and another from March. The latter shows Mejia's head slam against a bathroom stall. Juarez says her daughter was bruised after the December incident and eventually told her mother about it. Juarez says she went to the school, felt dismissed, and after insisting was eventually able to file a report with school police. The Los Angeles Unified School District provided Eyewitness News with a statement to the school community sent by the principal saying in part, while this tragic incident took place outside of school hours and off campus, our heartfelt thoughts remain with those affected by this loss. LAPD told Eyewitness News detectives responded to an incident on March 9th where a victim at a party fell down a flight of stairs. But Juarez and her attorney say Mejia fainted and there were no stairs.
The beatings were not off campus. The beatings were in Manual Arts High School, where these inept administrators did not protect her daughter.
And Juarez says she was unaware of the March incident until after her daughter's death. The attorney that we spoke with says they are awaiting an autopsy report for a cause of death. While we were here outside of the school, another parent in an unrelated incident told us that her daughter has been facing ongoing bullying and has been physically assaulted several times, including today, and she feels school officials have not done enough. Just one of the concerns that we heard while we were outside of the school.
Hello, I'm Mark.
You know, and some of these school officials absolutely don't do enough. And they have signs in some of the schools that say no bullying zones, and that if someone puts their hands on you, go tell the teacher. Yeah, that's what they say. If someone's putting their hands on you, go tell the teacher. I taught my sons, if somebody put their hands on you, you put your hands back on them. And then you can go tell the teacher, because you're going to get your lick back. That's what you're going to do. You're going to get your lick back, period. Okay? That's how that goes. It's a whole lot of kids that are haters. They're mad because other kids look better than them, dress better than them, or whatever. It's just a myriad of reasons why people try to bully other people's kids. At the end of the day, I remember when I was in school, somebody set my hair on fire on the school bus. A little bald-headed wench named Mimi Drake. Mimi, if you're listening, I heard you turned out to be a whole drug addict. But at the end of the day, and that's no surprise because your mother sold drugs when we were in high school. But anyway, at the end of the day, that little heifer set my hair on fire on the school bus. She sure did. And I mollywopped her too. And then what did she do? She got her cousins, one of them named Big Nick, and she fit the name, please pay attention. She got them to transfer to our school. And I got off the bus one day and they jumped me. And one thing that my mother had always taught us, if somebody jumps you and there's nobody around to help and you got to fight for yourself, multiple people, what you need to do is the first one that put hands on you, fight them the whole time. Don't even worry about the rest of them because you're not going to be able to beat all of them. But you make sure you beat the dust out of the one that put hands on you first. And that's what I did with Mimi. Okay? Her cousins were hitting me in the head and the back and all of that. My little scary ass friends didn't bother to help. I had a friend who was 6 feet tall in the 9th grade. She didn't help me. She stood there and watched. Was she really a friend? I don't know. I just think she was scared. I was never scared at the end of the day. But, you know, that's how that all went. And then we both got suspended for the fight, even though it was after we got off the bus. We both got suspended. My mother went right up to that school and had them reinstate me. She said, my daughter is an honor roll student. She doesn't get into any trouble. And she was defending herself. So they put me back in school, but Mimi had to stay home. which didn't matter anyway because she, wasn't doing good in school. Okay, so Marie says, I just checked. They pulled Carmelo's GoFundMe. Oh, really? Okay. How is it that Rittenhouse and Penny had fundraisers? There must be other platforms. You know what? We need to get our own platform because that is totally biased. Kyle Rittenhouse was murked 2 people. Daniel Penny murked somebody. And that's a good question. How are their GoFundMes allowed to stay up? Okay. How are theirs allowed to stay up, but Carmelo's can't? This is all crazy. Thank you for letting me know that, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Anyway, now let's talk about this young woman, beautiful young woman, all right, who was a very popular dancer in college at Alabama State University, and she lost her life. Her boyfriend allegedly took her life. Now, when this incident happened, he initially tried to tell the police that she did it to herself, but the police said his story wasn't adding up. Her name is Janiah Grimes. Let's talk about it. Boyfriend of fatally shot college student is charged after his statement wasn't linking up to evidence, according to police. Rogers McLeod Jr. was arrested on April the 4th in connection with the death of Janiah Grimes. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, beloved. Thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, this is a really sad story. 2 lives ruined. And this couple, they had a child, okay? And now that child is going to be out without both parents because I'm pretty sure he's going to prison. So a man has been charged with capital murder following the death of an Alabama State University student. Rogers McLeod Jr., age 20, was arrested on Friday, April the 4th, and is being held at the Montgomery County Detention Facility without bond. An investigation into the death of his girlfriend, Janiah Grimes, age 21, began on March the 27th when Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, known as MCSO, the deputies responded to reports of a shooting on U.S. Highway 80 East in the Wall community of Pike Road, Alabama. Grimes was treated at the scene by first responders before being airlifted to the hospital in critical condition, where she later died. Authorities said that McLeod Jr. was in the vehicle at the time Grimes was shot, but has given conflicting stories about what happened. The evidence just wasn't linking up with what he said and how he described it, according to Sheriff Derek Cunningham. So the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency State Bureau of Investigations are working alongside the sheriff's investigators, according to the outlet. Now, they say this case involves domestic violence where a young, innocent woman was murdered at the hands of her boyfriend. Okay, this is what MCSO Assistant Chief Wesley Richardson said, saying to protect the integrity of the case, we have not publicly discussed the details of this investigation. However, please do not confuse our silence with inaction. Okay, so people have, they say the publication has also reached out to MCSO and the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency State Bureau of Investigation for comment. Now, like I said, this young man said that she did this to herself, but they didn't believe it. Now, Grimes was a junior studying criminal justice at ASU after she graduated from Mays High School in Atlanta in 2021. She was also a member of ASU's Honeybees dance team. ASU shared a tribute on Instagram writing that we extend our deepest condolences to her family, friends, and all who were touched by her kindness and spirit. Our thoughts and prayers are with her loved ones during this difficult time. Now, Grimes welcomed a son, Rogers McLeod III, with McLeod Jr. last year. A GoFundMe page was set up in her memory. Okay, Grimes is remembered as a dedicated mother, a bright student at Alabama State University, set to graduate August of 2025. She was just months away from graduating, with dreams of becoming a lawyer. She was also a talented dancer with a passion for making a difference. She was the youngest in her family, their miracle baby, so full of kindness and grace. And now, instead of celebrating her future, we are preparing to lay her to rest. Our family is raising funds to cover funeral expenses and support efforts to bring her 9-month-old baby home so that he can say goodbye to his mother. This is all so sad and heartbreaking. Okay, this is absolutely egregious. And the reason they say it was domestic violence is because supposedly the young man had actually had incidents of violence with her before, and she had luckily, fortunately, had spoken to her family about it. So when this happened, they already figured that he was the one, behind it. Okay, so now let's go to the Fox News report where her family speaks about her.
By the death of their daughter. And now the Montgomery County, Alabama Sheriff's Office has launched an investigation into the death of Alabama State University student Janiah Grimes.
Grimes was a proud member of the Alabama State University Honeybees dance team. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us from Mays High School in Southwest Atlanta, which is where Janiah graduated from. Angelique?
Yeah, good afternoon to you both. Everybody who knew Janiah Grimes described her as a superstar. She was an extraordinary dancer who was even featured on Access Hollywood for her moves. But tonight, following her shooting death, her family tells me they are just consumed with grief.
Oh, we were like twins.
Authorities tell the family Janiah was riding in a car last week with a friend when a gun went off. Angela says the friend initially told Montgomery County deputies the 21-year-old killed herself. Now deputies tell the family they are working it as a death investigation. The family says they pray the truth will come out.
Do you think your daughter would kill herself? No. She wouldn't even touch the gun. She was afraid of guns.
9 months ago, Janiah added the title of mom to her accomplishments when she gave birth to her son, Rogers McLeod III. But she went back to school determined to follow her dreams and keep dancing and one day become an FBI agent. Her family and friends say they won't stop until justice is served.
Full of life, full of energy, as you all just said earlier, super flexible. She was a honeybee, which is a big girl dance line at ASU, but size does not matter. It did not stop her. She was splitting, pirouetting, doing all the things that any ballerina could do, and I think that's what allowed her to really stand out.
And Mom Angela tells us that Janiah was actually up until 3:30 in the morning rehearsing the same day that she died. Her mom says she loved the stage and had a performance the next day and wouldn't have let anything stop her from being at that performance. We're live at Mays High School in Southwest Atlanta. Angelique Proctor.
Okay, very, very sad and clearly heartbreaking at the end of the day. Easy, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. That's very sad, so tragic. Now this man has ruined his life as well as taking hers, and now the child is going to suffer because the child is not going to have either of the parents. And the child looks exactly like the father, in my opinion. Okay, that is really sad. She had so many hopes and dreams. She had such a bright future ahead of her. Okay, at the end of the day, for somebody to just snatch that out from under her and then try to lie about it is really awful. Now I'm going to play this tribute that her bandmates posted to their Instagram. I removed the music. They were playing Whitney Houston's song, I Will Always Love You, but I took out that music and added my own because I don't need any copyright issues. Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity seems louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling.
Okay, extremely sad. That is literally heartbreaking. Okay, so prayers and condolences to her friends, families, and loved ones, and especially for her son, who has to live now without his mother there to guide and nurture him. Okay, with that all being said, heartbreaking, because some people can't control their anger. So, but now let's go to this story about this nefarious teacher. Okay, this teacher, Christina Formella, kept a memoir in her phone about a student that she is accused of raping. That's right. So let's talk about it. Now, a married Illinois special education teacher accused of raping a 15-year-old student allegedly kept a memoir in her phone's notes app in which she accused the teen of cheating on her. Now, I want y'all to think about this and marinate on it for a second if you would. Okay, this woman, first of all, messing around with a 15-year-old student, married, mind you, and then tells the student he's cheating on her. What is wrong with these sick people? What is wrong with these sick people? That's her right there, but don't worry, because we're going to see more of her, because I happen to have the body cam footage where they arrested her artist, and she wants to cry and boo-hoo. Don't cry now, Becky. Okay, don't cry now. At the end of the day, you brought this upon yourself. Okay, so anyway, now, Christina Formella, a 30-year-old teacher at Downer Grove High School, wrote in a lengthy note that she was upset that the disgusting student cheated on me when their relationship ended. We will never, ever be together again, she said. Now, make this all make sense. Now, in a section that she says, I'm not a second choice. I'm the best thing you'll ever even have, even with all of my mistakes. Now, in a section titled Manifestations, she allegedly typed that she hoped the teen would reach out to her soon to try to fix things between us. She continued saying, in the meantime, I'm going to live my best life, knowing that he's not the person I thought he was and that he is beneath me. Doesn't it sound like the rantings of a deranged woman, someone who is in fact delusional? How does she think that she had a whole relationship with a 15-year-old, okay, and she has a husband? Now, when pressed by the police about the note, Formella claimed that it's how she lets out her anxiety and that any sexual content referred to her husband. Okay. Formella, who was also the boys' soccer coach, began exchanging flirtatious messages with him, which quickly escalated into an sexual encounter, okay, in December of 2023. Now, this is what the prosecutor is alleging. So during a before-school tutoring session in a classroom, the then 28-year-old teacher allegedly slammed the door and the pair had sex, okay? She said, I love having sex with you. This is what she wrote in a message that she sent to the teen. Now, that was the only time the two had an sexual encounter, with both later acknowledging that they'd done something wrong. The victim allegedly ended the relationship and they didn't speak after February of 2024. according to prosecutors. Now, that was just months before Familia tied the knot with her husband last summer. The teacher was arrested on March the 16th, just days after the boy's mother discovered racy text messages on her son's phone. See, parents, y'all need to be checking your kids' phones. You need to be checking their laptops, their computers to see what they're up to, who they're talking to, or whatever. There's a whole lot of predators out here, okay, at the end of the day. And don't think that, you're invading their privacy. You're a parent. You're supposed to invade their privacy. And in fact, they shouldn't have any privacy, okay, when it comes to certain things. Now, with that all being said, Formella was charged with 2 counts of aggravated criminal sexual assault and was released on the condition that she not enter school grounds or have contact with a boy or with anybody under 18 years old. Also disgusting, honey, okay? These are the things that go on in schools. But let's go to the body cam where she was arrested and her husband was with her, I do believe. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you. Reggie said this girl is a star. Yes, you're talking about Janiah Grimes. She absolutely was, beloved. She had such a bright future. I hate that.
You don't have anything on you. You can just grab whatever you need.
Whatever I need.
Yeah, whatever you need, like your phone, your purse, go ahead and grab it.
Is she going somewhere? Or?
Yeah, we're gonna explain everything to you guys.
Excuse me, is my husband coming with?
Yeah, he's taking his phone number down. We're staying in touch with him. We're just going to Downer Grove, so 10 minutes away.
No, I know, but I really would prefer that my husband's with me.
Of course.
Am I in trouble? Like, I'm oh my God. What the fuck?
Now, I'm sure you all can tell that these are crocodile tears. Okay, that cry seems so forced. Okay, it seems so forced. Okay, at the end of the day, like Nicole said, don't cry now. Exactly. She can miss me with it.
On Sunday, March 16th, 2025, officers from the Downers Grove.
Okay, so there you have it. And like Pretty Wing said, they'd be too lenient on these female predators. Yes, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. They act like it's no big deal when they do this to young boys or, teen boys or whatever. But it's absolutely just as egregious as far as I'm concerned. And she needs to be right where she is, in jail. Well, they've let her out now, but nonetheless, she should have been arrested. Then said, am I in trouble? First of all, what idiot asks if they're in trouble when the police have stopped you, put handcuffs on you, and put you in the back of their cruiser? Oh, where do you think you're going? Besides to jail. And if you're going to jail, well, absolutely, you're in trouble. So why would you need to ask? Okay. Just Anticipate said in my queen voice, shut your ass up. I know that's right. Okay. That's exactly what she needs to do. So anyway, with that all being said, honey, she is going to have to face the consequences, hopefully, at the end of the day. Sometimes they let them just get away with these types of things. They don't take it as seriously as they do when it's a male who's done something to an underage person. Okay. And so please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, she thought she was going to Burger King and said truth, right. Where did she think she was going? Your male said, girl, stop acting like you done had your soul snatched. Okay. Leon said, always cry after doing their dirt. Right. Like, don't cry now. Above all that drama, said little violins, please. Okay, please pay attention, honey. This is all nefarious. But like I said, she brought this on herself, honey. How are you sitting up here crying all of a sudden and then talking about you want your husband there? Right. Mary said you wasn't thinking about your husband when you were with this child. Exactly. Okay, and here's the thing. I wonder if her husband's going to stand beside her now that he knows what she's accused of. But even more importantly, after seeing those text messages, knowing that it's absolutely true. Okay, the police aren't lying on her. The proof is in the pudding. She had this in her phone. Okay, so please pay attention, honey. All nefarious. at the end of the day. So with that all been said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. And also, if you have not been receiving the notifications, please double check because you may just have been unsubscribed. Okay, so with that all been said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night. And I will see you all in the morning for your morning wake-up call. In the meantime, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hey, yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got